So this was the fourth lesson in Unit 9 on radicals, and this was our warm-up today, so you might want to pause the video at this point just to make sure you can remember how to simplify this, because today's lesson is actually going to be simplifying cube roots. So I just want to refresh square roots first. So really for all these questions what we want to do is we want to try and split these up into two parts. You go ahead and get rid of this, but I don't want to show all the answers at once. So there we go. So split it up into its component parts, and then if we can work it out, just go ahead and write down the answers. So square root of 4 is just 2. Remember the rule for the exponents when we have variables is we're just going to half this variable. So half of 10 gives us 5, so c to the 5. Now for the next one, we're going to write it like this. Now we can't work out the square root of 45, so we have to split it up into two parts. So 9 and 5 works because we can do the square root of 9, it's 3. G to the 14 we can also work out straight away because a half of 14 is 7. And then a radical 5, which we can't work out, we move to the end by the commutative rule. So when we're writing our answers, anything that's a radical will need to be at the end of the answer, and anything that's not a radical will need to be at the start of our answer. 12v to the 7, now this one's going to be more complicated straight away because this is an odd number. So if we try to do a half of 7, we get 3.5, which we're not allowed to do. So what we're going to do for this one is, if we count up in 2's, 2, 4, 6, 8 is going to be too high, so I'm going to use v to the 6 to split this up a little bit. And I'm also going to go with just v. Now the reason I'm going with v here is, v is the same as v to the 1, and if I do v to the 6 times v to the 1, remember when you multiply you add the exponents together, so 6 plus 1 would give me the 7. That's the procedure we're going to use from last time for all these questions when we have an odd exponent. We're going to go 1 below, and then we're going to have v by itself. Now 12 also doesn't work out, so we need to split that up to 4 and 3. And now we just go ahead and work out the ones we can work out. So the square root of 4 is 2. Square root of v to the 6, a half of 6 is 3, so v cubed. Then the ones that we can't work out, radical 3, radical v, we combine into a single radical at the end of the question. Now for the last one, there's a lot of letters for this one. So radical 75, s to the 9, t, u to the 6. So split them all up individually. 75 I can do as 25 and 3. With this being an odd power, I want to go 1 below and then have s by itself. With this just being to the power of 1, that's too small anyway, so I'm just going to leave that as it is. And then u to the 6 is perfect because it's an even number, so I know I can just half that exponent. Then when we start working these out, square root of 25 is 5. Square root of 3, that's all we can do with that. S to the 8, half of the exponent, so s to the 4th. Radical s, just leave alone. Radical t, leave alone. U to the 6, half the exponent, so half of 6 is 3. And then using the commutative rule again, anything that's not in a square root, bring to the front, and anything that is in a square root, combine into a single square root at the end. So you can see 5, s to the 4, u cubed, and then everything else that I have left went under the radical, radical 3, radical s, radical t. And that's going to be a fundamental part of what we're going to do today, because we're actually going to be looking at cube roots. So it's important you can understand this part first.